This is MLB The Show. We're on Xbox Series X taking a look at this latest entry in the long-running baseball simulation series that for the first time has arrived on Xbox. It's kind of crazy because this is, well, it was a PlayStation exclusive for years. They published the title, they developed it, and now it's on Xbox consoles. And I think that is just absolutely insane from the perspective of someone playing on this platform. So with that, what we're getting here on Xbox Series X is a 4K resolution, 60 FPS, HDR Sport, crossplay. The game loads really fast, you get into matches insanely quickly, which is just wild, and also smart delivery. So yeah, you kind of get the full experience of this baseball title. It's the exact same, basically, as the PlayStation 5 version. I've been playing both of them. So yeah, basically the same game on both sides. And if you see my PS5 review, you're kind of going to get the gist of what I said from over there, but, you know, from the Series X perspective. Of course, brand new footage, everything like that, shot right on the console and played with there. So yeah, we get the exact experience, and it debuted with Game Pass, which is also kind of crazy, and it's just really nice that we get to experience a high-end baseball title on the platform. Now, I have reviewed this title for the last couple of years. I did so on a base PS4. So for me, this is a bit of a big upgrade in regards to, you know, the quality jump resolution-wise and everything like that. And for, you know, kind of returning players, if you're wondering going from PS4 Pro to, say, Series X or PS5, you might not notice necessarily a huge jump, and, you know, it's kind of expected with them adding new console platforms and the global situation, everything like that. So with that, let's talk about something new, which I really love, and that is the Stadium Creator. So this is a really neat brand new feature where you're able to make almost limitless stadiums that you can play in, and you can share them and download them, what others have made, and that really is quite neat and awesome, because there's all these different little things you can tweak and twist and change, and then you can just enjoy tons of different weird designs, which I think is kind of awesome if you want, you know, kind of unique places. And if, you know, the existing options are fine, that's cool too. You've got the whole range of authentic stadiums to play in. You've got, you know, basically every single one beautifully recreated. They've got the advertisements in them, they got the fans, they got the quirky little moments off to the side, the weird celebrations. All of that is available. There's one where there's even people like kayaking in the water in the river, and that's kind of really cool. There are also historical stadiums that you can play in, and on top of that you've got a few smaller little lower tier ones as well, alongside all of the custom creations that people make or you make yourself. And I think that's a nice little touch. So outside of that, I wouldn't say that the features are necessarily super advanced, right? Like, this is a next gen version, but we're not going to see the full scope of the next gen upgrade until, you know, future down the line. If you're coming over from the PlayStation side, you're going to see kind of, you know, somewhat more minimal adjustments. They've revamped certain elements of how you interact, batting wise, pitching wise. They've got a variety of different tutorials and ways that you can kind of get into the game easier than ever before. And I think that's really good for accessibility, because a lot of people, again, trying to cater this more to the Xbox audience when we're looking at this particular review, you know, this is probably the first time that they have seen MLB The Show. So it's great that there's this level of accessibility, and I think this is kind of also a really good way to kind of get people into the idea and the sport of baseball. While I was streaming the game before launch, I had a lot of questions about, you know, should I check this out if I have no idea what baseball is? And I think if you jump in here and you try out the different modes, you could actually get a handle and understand what the sport's about, get an idea of how it plays, and I don't think it's necessarily too hard to get into from that perspective. And I think this might be a really good thing for that, because sports games are really cool for the element of perhaps making it a gateway for people to experience a sport that they have never seen before, never heard of maybe. I know it sounds crazy, but in different parts of the world, this is perhaps, even, you know, specifically through Game Pass, the first time they'll ever experience baseball in any way. And the show is a really good way to kind of represent the sport, and maybe even get people into watching the sport that would have never seen it before. And I think that's really what's cool about games, and in general, the efforts they put forth in this one in regards to making it fairly accessible for people to come in and play. So, I think in general, they capture the elements of the world of baseball quite well. They got the mechanics down. They got all the different characters. There's tons of character customization. You can change all the little parts of your athlete, your hair, your glasses, your weird socks, your quirky moves. They've got all that stuff. And there's certain elements of the character kind of, transferring between different modes. And we should probably talk about those modes as well. So you got Diamond Dynasty, which is a bit of a card type system where you're building everything up. There's lots of different postseason. We've got the March to October. You can play full simulation. You can edit your simulation. You can do simming. We talked about the ballpark. There's exhibition. There's online exhibition. There's live exhibition where it kind of keeps up the stats and everything like that. Throughout the year, the rosters get updated and kind of reflect what's going on as well. And, they've just got a lot of different modes. There's also franchise modes, so you can really kind of control and play a team over time. And, they just have a variety of different options. There's even some more fun, casual ones. We've got, like, Home Run Derby, where you're just kind of making the hits. And there's also this really neat retro mode, which kind of includes the entirety of this other baseball type of experience called RBI. So I've reviewed the RBI games since they were brought back every year, and I actually find those ones kind of fun, but this game is just beyond that scope. This is trying to be a serious experience, but they also have that more fun arcade style if you want to give that a whirl. It's kind of cool, you might like it. And with that, you get everything here. You get all the different kind of ways to interact with a season of baseball. It's fairly realistic in terms of simulation, and while, to some degree you may find that this doesn't have an insane amount of complexity on top of things, and you may be being like, oh, well, I could use this and this and this. I think it captures the sport quite well for the particular situation we're in globally and the fact that they're adding another platform. I'd say this is a very nice looking game. It plays quite well. There's good performance. It's got some nice little adjustments and improvements to the overall package, and I'm really just kind of pleased with how it goes. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's definitely something that I've been playing quite a bit of because, I've been doing the PlayStation 5 and the Series X version at the same time, so I've been hopping through here and really getting an idea of how it's running and stuff, and I'm just very happy with it. It seems to be, I want to say quite, on par between both versions, and I think that's really sort of awesome. So you got all the different modes and ways to play. Let's talk a little bit about the general visuals of the game. So I think it looks, quite good. It captures the sport quite well. You got lots of different options for batting or pitching, and you can adjust difficulty options too. So you can have set difficulty tiers. I think there's 4 for each, 4 for batting, 4 for pitching. And you can also have a dynamic difficulty changing too. That's a setting that they kind of give you a choice with. And that setting allows you to kind of be like, okay, well, I want the game to kind of give me a challenge or make it easier based on how I'm doing. And that option is there. And of course, you can just have preset things and go from that point. I think it gives a lot of different pitching options in regards to capturing all of the unique pitchers in the league. And, you have all these different settings for fastballs, curveballs, everything like that. And then when you're batting, you got different dynamics of how you want to kind of interact with this ball, where you want to hit it, what you want to do with it. And on top of that, you get a lot of feedback from the game. I don't know if you've been noticing that, but it pops up on the screen and it's like, well, you hit it here, you hit it there, and I think you can kind of use that as a bit of a learning tool to understand how you're playing and what you're doing. And I think they covered those elements quite well. Within the visuals of the world too, I think it looks really good. I would like them to do a little bit more effort in regards to the crowd quality in the close crowd. It's cool that there's kids and different, looking people throughout the crowd, and the densities and stuff change, and, it feels like a realistic environment in terms of how many people are there. For these particular shots where you're really tight in, I did feel that they could put maybe a lot more quality detail just in those immediate people, because they still kind of look a little bit off. And I also think that some of the weathering things, such as rain, could be handled a lot better in terms of the visual quality. But I mean, they capture the day quite well, but that's also pretty easy, right? With that, though, I do wish that the clouds had a little bit more of a nicer puffiness to them. And I know I kind of complained about these elements on the PS5 wise, but bear with me if you watch that one and you're seeing the Series X version, because this is supposed to be catered to that particular platform, because that's what we're showing it off here. I'd like to say that there's all these cool extras and stuff, but they're really basically the exact same game, just on a different platform. And that's perfectly good. That's how it really should be in this particular situation. And I think it just kind of provides a generally wonderful and enjoyable experience, It's going to feel minimal if you're coming from a previous version of the game in terms of upgrades and changes. I think the stadium thing is super awesome and really fun. And I think they give you a lot of different modes that you can enjoy and play as you kind of experience what this title has to offer. If this is your first time playing the show, I think you're going to be very pleased by it. I think you're going to have a lot of fun going around and competing, with others, or competing locally, or playing like multiplayer stuff. You get all of these different options, whether you're doing the road to the show, the Diamond Dynasty, your franchise. Everything there is kind of ready and available. And I'm one of those players that likes more of the exhibition style. I like to get in, play matches. You can set your innings, you can set the weather, you can set the team style. They've got tons of different jerseys. Not only do they have historical, arenas you can play in, they've got a plethora of different jersey types. And I really am curious about the blue jerseys during, like, I think the 80s or something. Every team seems to have them. And, it's completely up to date in regards to the designs of the different teams. And I hope you've been kind of seeing that throughout the gameplay, that I've got a variety of different team options that I've been kind of showing and presenting, so that you can see that in action. And it looks really quite nice, and it plays, very smoothly. And I don't really have too many complaints about it. It gets the job done. It provides a good experience and the best simulation of baseball that we have available. I mean, there's other competing options, like I mentioned RBI, which is more of an arcade thing on the go, and then there's like Super Mega Baseball, which is really cool. But this has the licensing of MLB, Major League Baseball, and it's very realistic looking, and I think it captures the sport in a satisfying way that is fun to play, engaging, dynamic. It offers a variety of different modes. Yes, they could have changed things up a little bit further in regards to adding some more next-gen features, but keep in mind that this is their first effort on multiple platforms, and it is a cross-gen experience that does have crossplay and, cross-gen playing too, if you were wondering about that for whatever reason. And, yeah, you get the full scope of that, and I think that's kind of really nice to see. And this is a really good starting point going forward of having this great baseball game available on Xbox. And I never thought this would happen. It is a very interesting situation. It's great to have if you've ever wanted a baseball game on the platform. And I know some people literally just buy consoles to get like a like a sports title, or if you've always just been there like, oh man, I wish Xbox had like a baseball title. It does now. And MLB The Show provides a really excellent experience that you can have a lot of fun on, you can play tons of gameplay with, and it's really cool to see this happen. And I hope that this continues, that this is, I believe it's a long-term thing, but I hope that it continues to release on both platforms so that we can continue to enjoy the full scope of the show on Xbox, or, of course, keeping with PlayStation, if that's your sort of thing, you want to do that, that's totally cool too. It's just really interesting to have this happen. I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe I've played the game on PlayStation and then played it on Xbox, and now I'm reviewing it on Xbox, because it just, the concept of it seems wild, because I wasn't sure we'd ever get a quality baseball game like this again, because it's been, I think the Bigs was the last one that was like a full sort of somewhat serious simulation of the game. But yeah, it's just wild how this has happened. It's so cool. So yeah, lots of different modes to play, lots of different things to experience. It's quite enjoyable. I have a great time playing it. I'm not a serious player, like I mentioned earlier. A lot of people, they play this whole year. I come in, I review it, I enjoy it, I have a good time with it, and then I move on, and then I come back the next year. And I look forward to showing off more of the show in the future, because it's kind of exciting to see it available on the Xbox platform, and I think it's going to be a fun thing to continue to review many years down the line. So I guess stay tuned next year and knock it out of the park, guys, and have a fun time. If this is your first baseball game, maybe the first time seeing baseball ever, I think you might kind of enjoy the sport or find it a little bit interesting. And that is MLB The Show 21 on Xbox Series X.
Strike two. Rosario, base runner at first with one out.